Welcome to the Edge Up podcast with your hosts Reed and Glenn from Hawai'i Trading Academy.
So it's very fascinating times with crypto. Like, have you heard just recently Robert Kennedy Jr., he's a presidential candidate, Democratic Party. He one, he's not raising a lot. He's not spending a lot of money trying to raise money. And so I think in a tweet that I saw, a video on Twitter, he raised only like $10 million or something like that. And for a presidential run, that's not a lot of money. But he's saying that, like, I'm putting it to good use. We made $10 million worth like $100 million with the work that they're doing. And then he goes on to say he has this whole segment on Bitcoin specifically, and this is where it ties into trading, is that he talks about how he's asking for donations and I take Bitcoin. And by the way, when I become president, Bitcoin, your wallets, everything, it's going to be secure. You guys are going to have it. The government will have no hand in your own wallet. We don't have to know your address. We don't have to know all these things, right? Like to verify that you are the owner of a wallet. So I think that's a win in the trader sphere. Have you heard about that? Like Robert Kennedy talking about Bitcoin?
Briefly, I wonder if it was one of the recent podcasts you did, but when you were talking about it, it was pretty funny. You know how presidential candidates they have all of their backers or sponsors or donating parties, right? And it's like these establishments, right? And
Yeah.
I was thinking if Kennedy was if I mean since he is pro Bitcoin or pro crypto, what if you'll see on his sponsors it'll be like Reddit, Wall Street Bets, all those
Yeah.
all those
That'd be
diamond
amazing.
hand guys, you know what I mean? That'd be super funny, bro. Super funny.
And
That's
like on top of all that, I don't know if you heard on June 21st, Jerome Powell, he comes out to say they see stable coins as a form of money, right? And that's like, have you heard about this one too?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of new.
Yeah.
It's kind of new, but like let's pause like because that he said that last a few days ago, right? Last week. Now
Yep.
let's reel it back for the audience and us how when a few years ago when Bitcoin crypto started taking off in the mainstream and how that looked like it was the gamblers. There's what happened to all the different hundreds of altcoins, the exchanges, the brokers. We had in 2020 COVID came, everybody was going wacko, or a lot of people's traditional retirement funds dropped drastically, and so the crypto scene was, well, the timing couldn't be any better, right? A lot of people was like, yeah, let me just take my money out of traditional banking, let me go put it in crypto and watch it go to the moon. Now that the dust settled, right? Like we're seeing the results of the people's decision making. There's a lot of people who were winners, and there's a lot of people who didn't win. So it's very interesting seeing all that now. How the government is taking their stance, and Powell stating that this is a they're recognizing it as a form of currency. Um, I think like since it was such a new thing. There wasn't any regulation much. Nobody really knew what the rules were. The government didn't really know. Um, so it's just so crazy how like what a time to be alive, right? But what a time to be trading as well, So like let now it's the things settled. Powell, government, Vanguard, big guys, they're starting to openly or make their stance and adopt cryptocurrency. Like what do you think? Where do you think this is going? You think they're gonna uphold the initial vision of centralization, decentralization with the currency, or are they starting to
Yeah.
make their
I
move
mean,
in?
Well, I mean, Robert Kennedy, he gives hope, right, for a lot of crypto enthusiasts, Bitcoin enthusiasts that like, hey, America's alternative currency could be Bitcoin, right? And just going off of like what Powell says, I'll read the quote specifically. So this is something key that for everyone listening, we do see stable coins as a form of money. Boom, period. That's what you're going to see all across the headlines, all across the news networks. But they rarely say the entire quote. And here's the entire quote: "It's the ultimate source of credibility in money is the central bank. We believe it would be appropriate to have quite a robust federal one." So essentially, what from my take is Powell wants to make sure that the Fed is in your wallet, is in your coin, is in get give me I have to give you some regulations if you want to hold Bitcoin. Whereas a person like Robert Kennedy is saying, no, you don't need that. And like to keep people up to date here, China has a type of CDC going on, like China digital coin. And so they're already like ahead of the game as far as giving their population a digital coin. And so now we're finally, like Glenn's mentioned, there's the ball's finally rolling where banks, major banks like Vanguard and BlackRock, they're kind of acknowledging like, hey, Bitcoin's here, Bitcoin is gonna stay. I'm on coinmarketcap.com and I was curious as you were saying all this, like as the dust is settling across all these scams and everything, how many crypto coins are there now? Bro, there's still 26,036 different type of cryptos to invest in, to choose from, to buy from. And like Dogecoin, Elon's favorite coin, that's top 10. It's number 8. And then right below that, you got Tron, right? And I don't know anything about Tron, TRX. And then, of course, number one's Bitcoin. So, I mean, like, this is a lot of these companies who come under fire, a lot of cryptos that has come under fire for either being like, um, owned by a certain majority, or like it's not actually free, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the only one that stands above all of them. All the rest are like, there's a majority of owners and shares, and if they sell it all, it'll collapse. Whereas Bitcoin, a lot of people could sell it, but Bitcoin will still be living. It'll still keep going because of the blockchain.
Yeah, yeah. I think since it's been around, Bitcoin, I don't know the exact year it's been around, but I think I
I think
seen was it 2000 what 11 or
08,
something 8
no,
9
8, I think.
really? So that means it withstood 2008 crash, 2009, the market
2008, bro.
2008. Okay, so Bitcoin
So
withstood that
coincidentally,
crash.
right? The market crashes and then the technology comes to light, right? Which is pretty,
Hmm.
it's
So that
questionable.
crash, I think we had a flash crash in 2014 or 16, right? And then 2020, right?
Yep.
Bitcoin is now trading at $30,400 around there. Um, so it's showing a bit of strength. I mean, it's not something to take lightly, and I think that the big guys are, you know, recognizing that it's there, and bringing it back to us on the islands. The cryptocurrency compatibility. Can Hawaii residents own it?
The answer is yes. Yeah. Hawaii. So they did like this pilot program in Hawaii where certain exchanges were allowed to operate in Hawaii. Like Gemini, I'm invested in with Gemini. Gemini is one of them. Um, but in hindsight, there's also companies that were on this pilot program. And how many were there? It was like 20 or something, less
Something
than
like that.
20 for sure.
Yeah.
And during the whole FTX fiasco, that's still ongoing with the government and everything. A lot of these companies were had ties to FTX and they went down. I think like Nalu Cloud is one that comes to mind that was based out specifically out here in Hawaii. And so I think that's it's like coming back to these gamblers and like these um all these altcoins and exchanges and brokers, man. It's like a lot of them went under, and a lot of we're seeing like a lot of scare tactics that you only hear the bad stuff that's happening, whereas you're not hearing in third world countries. I just came across this random YouTube video, bro, on how like they were able to go through like Cambodia all off of Bitcoin. That's it. Like they asked where they could go specifically, and they use Bitcoin to like get their food, pay their rent, everything. It's possible to live off of Bitcoin right now in this current day and age, right? And more countries are adopting it. Like El Salvador is a huge one.
They went full blown, right?
Yeah, and I think the government itself is really, really investing in heavy into it.
Very crazy. Yeah, I mean, so going back to like currency, we like I believe there needs to be a form of regulation, knowing that this is a blockchain technology, new technology. It's gonna take a quite a bit of time for the normal average Joe to understand this blockchain technology, how it works. Is it trustworthy? I think that's the biggest um, question that a lot of consumers have. Even for me, I'm not fully, I'm not even like heavily invested in crypto. But at the end of the day, like, you know, seeing it's cool that Hawaii is trying to be innovative. Unfortunately, it's a two-way street. So the companies that do service Hawaii's residents and as far as owning crypto, a lot of them has been dropping out, like Reed was mentioning. So, but there's still hope, guys, because we're still able to trade crypto or Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially if you're just a trader, just tying it back in, like owning it and investing has it as an asset can be different from just day trading it, swing trading it, trend following trading it. You know, there's a lot of different options for us out there with these prop firms. They do offer Bitcoin USD as a product where you can trade it. And there's also the futures contract for Bitcoin. They have a micro Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. So it's still really crucial, or it's good for us that the availability is there. You know, I think I was listening to a podcast where some of the veteran traders throughout these past few years, they kind of just been on the sidelines, just watching crypto take off. You know, and all these younger generation people, our age, even younger, they're all about it. They all about it, and they're just hopping on whatever train they could get on, and like I think you kind of mentioned earlier, it was like a get rich quick scheme, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
kind of
crypto,
No, I want to pull it back, bro. Like, I want to play the devil's advocate here. I want to challenge you a little bit here. Get the audience kind of thinking. So, you said you kind of want to see regulations. Well, Bitcoin goes completely against regulatory situations and banks. And in a sense, like Bitcoin is the only pure cryptocurrency off the blockchain where you can't fudge with it. You can't mess with it because it's like, for example, if I have a Bitcoin and I made it up and I tried to put it on a blockchain and you're the next in line, you're able to identify that blockchain. And this is my rudimentary understanding of it. You're able to identify like, oh wait, this is a fake, this is not a real coin, disregard this coin. And so that's the power of blockchain. So one, I wanted to just say like what kind of regulations are you trying to find? And then two, you kind of mentioned how like as the average Joe understands bit or the blockchain more, I don't think it's necessary to trade it or invest in it because like how many things have people invested in yet they don't even know like what they're like. I barely understand the foreign exchange market, man. I've been doing this for 9 years,
Mhm.
like the supply and demand of an economy, but there's so many things that are inside, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
I want to send it pass it back to you, man. Like what kind of regulations are you looking at, and like what do you see happening in the future?
No, I totally understand. Yeah, going back to that, like you have like these past few years, a lot of people lost their life savings because there's a lot of scammers out there, especially on social media, that hit you with, hey, make $5,000. Give me what, $500, I'll turn into $5,000. And I've known a handful of people personally who got taken advantage for that.
Yeah,
So going, if you were to
same.
tell, well, I mean, everyone is responsible for their own actions at the end of the day, because you change that lingo with dollars, with and cents that people do know, you know they could still fall for those type of schemes, or get rich quick schemes. But kind of going back to the regulation, the Bitcoin mining, for example, that's essentially printing money, right? You're the whole
Yeah, I mean,
the
as
whole
far as my
goal.
understanding, it is,
Yeah,
but it takes a lot of computing power. It takes a lot of energy.
yeah.
So, I mean, what do you mean, like regulate? Like, okay, if a person's trying to, you're limited to 30 watts a month for mining, or like you're just, what are you trying to say here?
So the whole mining, like, I don't understand it fully, right? But to me, it's like if we had our own personal um dollar printer, is that something that should be paying, like, the government should be paying attention to, you know
I
like
think it's different though, because with the dollar, US dollar, it's not capped, man. We all know that. They printed trillions of dollars, right? Whereas Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, it is maxed. Let me see. How many Bitcoins
I
are
think
there?
21 mil, right?
21 million Bitcoins. That's the max, right? That could ever be produced. And yeah, we're not talking about like having and having and having, but just that supply, it's basic simple supply and demand dynamics is the less there is, the more value it's going to be. And I think that's what sets Bitcoin differently. I think I agree with you though. Like so many people have been ripped off by fake exchanges, right? I think
Yeah.
that's the key is like, hey, how do we certify Gemini, for example, or Coinbase that you guys are legit, you guys have the backing of something. If you have an electric grid power outage and your people can't access the coins, what is your mitigation plans? What are your plans? Is there backups? Like how are you gonna do this? And if you can't do that, you can't hit like 4 or 5 ticks, right? To protect the consumer, protect the customer, then you can't give out digital coin. You know what I mean? But I mean that's a tight door, bro. Like we're leaving like I feel like the government's gonna give like, okay, here's the essay of all the checks that you need to do. If you can't do it, then we're gonna give it to Vanguard because we know that they're good. And
Yeah.
then like, and then like, I mean, there's just there's a lot of it could go both ways, right? Like
Go
it
both
could, yeah,
ways.
it'll protect the customer, but it's also taking away some rights here. So I mean, just it is tricky. I'm
It's
curious
tricky.
what some regulations will come down to, and like what is a good regulation, I
I
just
guess.
in the end we all want to be protected, bro.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to be protected. We don't want to invest in something and then our money's poof, it's gone, right?
Right.
It's a
Right.
very real aspect with digital.
At least, for example, right, we have credit cards, right? And there's those fraud protection. You'll get a notification, or your card will get um like frozen if it suspects a suspicious activity, right? How if I have a ledger and I'm trying to make a purchase, or somebody is trying to portray themselves as me, like, I see that with blockchain, it's there, everyone can see it. I guess it's just adopting that whole technology, forming it into something that we're familiar with, I guess it's just a matter of those big companies turning, like translating it into something we can normally understand. Like, hey, what are my, if someone's trying to do a fake transaction on the blockchain using my information, will you guys, stop it, or will I get notified? Whatever, is my ledger safe? My digital wallet safe? Is it hackable? Blah blah blah. All those different things, different dynamics, I guess, different technology. So just those are the things that come up to mind as we go full steam into this.
Yeah, yeah. We'll reel it back. We'll pull it back out of the because it was like we could go into ledgers, how to secure your crypto, then like the the relation to like USD, like how do like banks have your cash. So like, anyways, this we could keep going on
We
about
can go
the
on.
pros and cons with crypto, but like to pull it back out there, it during that time, right, 2020, the last couple years we have seen a tremendous amount of fake exchanges, people getting ripped off, a lot of gamblers out there. And then in light, it actually, it paved the way for you and I, Glenn. Like with Hawaii Trading Academy, we saw so many people, so many of our friends and family getting ripped off through these fake coins and these the hype of it all. Even my mom and dad were asking me like, how can I invest in Bitcoin? And it was at the peak, bro. I'm telling you, it was like at 40K, right? Or whatever the peak near peak was. And like within 2 weeks it tanked, right? So it's just like when you're the golf course indicator, when your buddies who don't trade are starting to talk about an investment, that's a red flag to get out or don't even trade that asset, right? And so I think it opened the doors where like a lot of kids realize like, wow, maybe this is something I want to do for my life, right? And then they dove deeper, they learned more about trading, they learned about other markets, they learned how to actually invest. And like this is happening with Robinhood with younger kids now, and it's amazing to see, right? I have a son in high school, and he's able to like just pull out his app and look at the charts easy like that, and our when we were in high school, man, like we couldn't do that. We needed a computer, and then some transactions would be delayed specifically. So it's like we're seeing instant data feed with thanks to technology. So it
Mhm.
added this plethora of traders into the market. And I think that's a good thing. What's cool also, I think you touched on this, is like these exchanges, you invest it, you buy and you hold it. Really, that's essentially what these exchanges in it are. Whereas you and I, we day trade, bro. Like we're not trying to understand the blockchain really. That's why we're kind of like loose cannon on it. We don't really know, right? As far as the science and the technology goes. But we're traders, bro, at heart. At the core of it, we're traders. We know how to trade it. And now prop firms are allowing us to day trade it, right? Or swing trade it, like how your strategy is swing buying and holding. And so I kind of bring back a moment here is, have you taken any Bitcoin trades on prop firms to actually, is it legit?
Yeah, it's legit. It's legit. Um, that's what I myself was waiting for, there's all these exchanges a few years ago that they were coming out where you can trade all these different altcoins against each other, and it was moving so quickly. I would go to a restaurant to go pick up some food, and I would see some guys with their laptop open and the screen, like I know a trading screen, but it wasn't like the MetaTrader. It was some sort of crypto exchange um screen, a chart, and this guy was watching minute by minute,
No,
and I
it
really like,
stresses.
I from that I could tell, where this person was at. You know, I hope I was wrong and he was probably an undercover millionaire or whatnot, but the way his body language is compare while trying to eat his meal and watch the screen, you can tell that he, had money he was probably playing with where he couldn't really afford to lose. Um, and like I've seen many examples like that. But as a trader, we've been trading a few years now between ourselves. And what I wanted was, something reputable that I knew. right? And so the CME exchange finally came out with the Bitcoin contracts and futures contracts. And I was like, boom, that's all I need to know, my friend, because I know futures. It is a standardized contract, trading product. It's regulated. There's no wishy-washy type of exchanges or false pricing on the spot on the price. Like it's there. Like CME provides it. Boom. So that gave me good confidence in going to go and trade it. You adding that to my portfolio, and it was exciting too because it was a new product to do back testing on that you would never do, right? And it's cool because kind of everyone's on the same playing field because there's no data going back a few years ago. You know, you cannot get 10 years of Bitcoin data. Maybe just on spot price, but on the future side, it doesn't exist. So it's kind of starting out as a clean slate. Everyone can get at it. And going back to the prop firms, they offer the Bitcoin to USD pair to trade. And that's good too. I think that one's 24/7, right? I believe you can trade
Bitcoin's 24/7. Yep, you
on
could
the
trade it on
weekends,
the
right?
weekends. A lot of prop firms are allowing you to trade on the weekends now. And just to bounce off of you could trade it now is if we could trade it, we don't need to know the signs. Kind of going back to like the question I said earlier. Like I don't think we need to fully understand it to make money off of it, right? So I think again, it just opens so many doors. It's very commonplace to see people with charts now. I remember when like crypto popped, bro, in like 2021, 22. They'd be like, "Oh, what do you do?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "I'm a day trader," and they're like, "Oh, crypto. What crypto are you invested in?" I'm like, "Hold on, man. Like, crypto is not the only asset, but anyways, and then they got mentioned forex, and they don't want to hear about it, right? They want to hear about crypto. What's the hottest crypto? Anyway, but I digress, man. It's interesting times, bro. Very interesting
Is
times. I hope, like you said, we do see some type of little bit of regulation. I hope that a president, maybe it doesn't have to be Robert Kennedy Jr., but maybe a president, the next chief of staff is gonna say, yeah, let's do Bitcoin. Let's allow Bitcoin. I think that'll pave the way. We're behind right now as a country as far as moving into the future, and I think we're seeing good signs. Powell just speaking about it, that's a good sign, even though he ended it with let's do central bank stuff. Like anyways, I think we're headed in a good place, man. And it looks promising, especially out here in Hawaii, bringing it back. Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
still have that pilot program going, right? And it
yeah.
got
I think
renewed.
I think so.
You mentioned it. It got renewed for a couple more years. So I mean, we are seeing progress. They could have shut down the program completely, but there's so much feedback that we're allowed to trade it out here in Hawaii, which is awesome.
Just going wide curveball. What if the US government, just takes the idea of crypto and creates that digital coin, central bank digital
Well,
coin? And
bro,
that's,
China's doing it.
yeah, I know,
China
right? Like,
did
what if
already.
that's the outcome? What happens to Bitcoin
Hmm,
after that?
great point. Great point. Like well, in my opinion, personal opinion here is Bitcoin will never die. Bitcoin, it would have died. It's almost what over 10 years now. It's been around. It's sustaining its 30 between 20 to $30,000 value. It's only going to go up because supply is going to be limited. And right now, you've been hearing this for the last 5 years, but right now is the time to get in Bitcoin. And if the government says no, I hear the extreme is like they move out of America, right? America's the greatest country on earth. I don't care what anyone says, man. I don't think
Great.
people with all that is just like, can you do it? Yeah, but like at the same time, do you want to do it? I don't know, maybe not right now. Who knows what the future holds, but I just think, man, like if that happens, it'll be where, okay, here's the American digital currency, but you could also have Bitcoin. I think
Mm.
that's diversification, right? That's the whole
Mm.
really what we're talking about here is being able to diversify things. An all outright ban isn't going to stop Bitcoin. I mean, China tried banning it 151 million times, dude. Like they ban it like every 6 months, bro, and then it just keeps popping up, and it's still living. So
No, that's
I
a
mean,
great
like there's
view.
I think a funny point is coming off of like conspiracy theories or like future funny thoughts is there's in conspiracy circles, right, that I've seen online is, and I don't believe this, but I mean, I'm always open minded that the government actually invented Bitcoin, right? So Satoshi Satoshi invented it, Nakamoto, something like
Yeah.
that. Satoshi Nakamoto. Supposedly, this entity, this guy, he invented it, but there's no proof that he was a real man. And there's other theories, right, that he was a group, like a group of people. And then it's just funny, man. 2008 crash, and then Bitcoin is invented or comes out. So it's just it's questionable, is all I'm
Very
saying. It's
questionable.
healthy to question it. Um, but I tread lightly in those waters. Just you never know.
Yeah, yeah, that
Right
is
now,
a
as far as I
question.
know, to end it, like it's an asset I can trade, bro. So I'm gonna trade it. That's my end statement right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point to leave off of, treat Bitcoin as an asset. What we're seeing, the cold hard facts, even though it's been out for about a decade, it's been through two crashes, you know, market crashes. It's withstanding, it's only increasing in value. It's not at the rate a lot of people don't want to see it at, but it's steadily increasing. And so, you just think about it, put your investor cap on for those out there in the audience, and just look at the whole cold hard facts. We cannot really predict on where it's going to go and whatnot, but we only can just use what has been what the product has been doing these past few years during these extreme climates, and we make our financial decision based on that. So yeah, I think Bitcoin's a plus. It's a great asset right now, and it's just a good time. We're gonna sit back and tell our grandkids about the stories about the origins of Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hey, last question to end it, man. Bullish or bearish on Bitcoin?
I'm in a prop firm trade for Bitcoin right now, so I'm bullish. I will say I'm
There
currently
you go,
bullish.
man. All right, cool, cool. So you are actively trading Bitcoin. That's solid to hear, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How about you?
Uh, Overall, as far as the currency goes, I'm bullish on it. As far as day trading it goes, it's choppy, bro. I'm not actually in it any trades right now, and I haven't traded Bitcoin for about 2 months now. So it's just way too excuse me, choppy for me.
It's gonna be around, guys. This was our take on the current latest with Bitcoin, what's been happening in the news and in the markets with it. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't yet, follow, subscribe, check our website out at hawaiitradingacademy.com. Whether you're looking to improve your trading mindset and growth, we'll provide you with the tools, tips, and inspiration you need to make your next breakthrough. So tune in and let's edge up together.